Hello everybody and welcome to another Arkham Horror List video. Last week we made a revisit of our top 5 investigators. So, it's 2021. Let's not only look at our 5 least favorite or our bottom 5 investigators again, but let's also, because, you know, 2020 and 2021 have been so junk, let's make it bigger. Let's make it even more miserable and complain about 2 more investigators more than last year. Let's see how everyone's lists have changed or not changed since then. Chat, I just want to apologize in advance. You're probably not going to like my list. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it, okay? Just get ready. Let's start with our... Oh, sorry, I should get the... I have to get my YouTube time codes going for this. So give me 1 second. And let's go with our number 5, starting with you, Bryn.
I've got Leo Anderson, the expedition leader. You're probably thinking, but Bryn, you like playing the monster fighters and you like green cards, and you're absolutely right. I do. And I kind of enjoy playing this guy. He gets access to all kinds of neat cards. He's on this list because of a creeping existential dread that I feel regarding the continuation of a certain Return to the Forgotten Age campaign, in which I have burnt all my experience on very bad cards that don't help my deck work. And I know I've got to go back to it.
Yeah, that campaign also makes me hate Leo.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know, Leo actually should be on my list. I forgot the dude existed until Bryn brought him up. Leo's just so boring. And I don't have the same existential dread that Bryn has, but man, that's...
Yeah, well, you're playing Mandy Thompson, so...
It's true, yeah, that is true. Alright, my number 5 is Diana Stanley. I've had a lot of people tell me she's really good. Viewers were like, Justin, Diana Stanley is really good. Then I played her, and I was like, she's not that good. I did not enjoy playing with her one bit. Her deck is so big, and like maybe she'll get better for me in time, but her deck is so big, and you need to like prioritize getting things in your basement. And then if you mulligan badly, you're just a 1-brain, useless mystic and a 3-fight, useless guardian. And you're kind of just standing there being like... I mean, technically you're a 2-brain, useless mystic because you start with 1 cancel card in your hands. But my one time I played her was her and Gloria did all the heavy lifting. I'm just going to say it. Like, she killed things, she got clues, and she made it so that Diana Stanley was a safe little useless investigator. I don't like her, and I don't want to play her again. I said it. Travis, who's your number 5?
It's Jenny. She's still boring. She's still green. She's still like the most boring green character in my opinion. She hasn't proven her spot on the list since last year. Mostly because like there's some neat green event synergy stuff from the Winfred deck. But I still just think she's boring.
Yeah. I mean, like, I definitely agree, and I think I agreed last year, but like Jenny most improved from this year to last year, like going from 1 to 5.
Yeah, except for people not on the list anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, from 1 to 5, that's a big... That from least favorite to like, yeah, you suck, but you're like not my least favorite. I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to our number 4s, starting with you, Bryn.
I've got Joe Diamond. You might recall he was my most least favorite. My least liked investigator on the previous list. The parts of him that I didn't like then the most, the fact that he only had 2 brain and 2 foot and you were at the mercy of the Mythos deck, I've come to kind of just accept as a matter of course as every new green character they put out has 1 or 2 brain.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. You know, if the game says you take 3 horror, you take 3 horror, and you keep moving on. The reason he's on this list is because I do not enjoy the upkeep involved with his hunch deck. It's it's a cool idea. I just don't enjoy actually having to pay attention to it all the time.
Yeah. I've never played Joe Diamond, and I don't really want to, because you guys, I've seen both you guys play them, and you haven't really like had like a great time. But next Tuesday we have a totally normal Joe Diamond deck coming out, and that one looks pretty fun.
It's entirely normal and built by humans.
Yeah, so that might be one that we I have my first Joe Diamond event with. My number 4 is Sister Mary, and that's because I also recently played her, and she's kind of just stuck in this point where she is like, so the Blessed and Cursed mechanic isn't awful, right? But it's very much gonna be trapped in Innsmouth, right? Like that's kind of where it's gonna live, because they're probably never gonna print more cards that use the mechanic. So we have now everything that's going to be built in that, most likely for the life of span of this game, right? There's also Return to, yeah, which we'll see more, but like we're kind of done with that mechanic. And while, yeah, you don't need to really build around that with Sister Mary, it kind of like asks you to, right? Like it kind of like you kind of feel bullied by it, by her text. She's like, look, you get one every turn. You can take advantage of it. And ultimately, a mechanic that comes down, like a playstyle and an investigator that when it kind of promotes you to build in that, it kind of like when it comes down to luck, that is like the antithesis of fun to me. It's not exciting. It's like frustrating because you see all these things you can do, but then you draw a bunch of tokens, but you don't draw your blessed tokens, right? And yeah, this could come on me for like building the decks wrong. And honestly, after actually Sister Mary came on this list, she replaced my Lola slot because we kind of just said we won't do Lola. So Sister Mary's here. Like I don't not like her, but I also like don't like her, right? Like, and I think I'm not impressed by her, and I'm not excited to build with her because she's kind of in that weird spot where she can use her brain to shoot things. She can try to fight with her fist, but she's kind of just this weird support that hopes everyone draws blessed tokens, and to me, that's not too exciting. Travis, what's your number 4?
Is Jim. He's also boring.
Yeah.
You only really play purple cards, and then your ability is anything special.
What are you talking about? You got all that hype excitement when you fire up your thing and you're like, man, I really need this to deal 3 damage right now. And then it doesn't.
Yeah, like Akachi could have also been in this slot potentially, but like for Akachi you just get more of whatever you're playing, and then Jim, you either have to play a big pile of cards that help you manipulate the token bag, or you don't have an ability.
Yeah. Jim's kind of like what I was saying, because I mean, like, I have a soft spot for Jim because, like him, I view, like, you see yourself and you're like, man, if only I could be the best me I could be, and I see that with Jim all the time, right? But, like, copy-paste what I said with Sister Mary, you have to build around a mechanic that you end up just, like, hoping it works out is not really fun. I'll never forgive myself for the Jim Sculver from our Mono Mystics. That was agony. Of course, I say this agony in the sense that I'm playing a card game, so it's really not too bad. But you must understand, if we did not speak in hyperbole here, you guys wouldn't watch us. That's how it works. Let's go on.
It'd be boring if you did.
To number 3. Bryn.
I got Mandy Thompson. I played her once. I thought she was kind of cool. And then I realized you don't have to play her with 50 cards in her deck. And then I tried that. And I was like, cooperative games aren't fun when you're not struggling. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're not hard, they're not fun. You know? And she's, like, really good. Like, a little too good. And I honestly do not ever see myself playing this character again.
Well, we know what to do for the next gift exchange, right, Travis?
Yep.
She's only gonna get better
with the green splash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so maybe like playing some sort of Mimi green splash. Like,
No, we would only give you the good one.
Yeah.
We would give you the 3 aces, Wilbren.
I will only commit them one at a time.
No, I think the only Mandy Thompson I could see you enjoying is one with the rule that we give you where you can never search your own deck. It always must be someone else's.
That might be neat. You don't like Patrice? She's so cool.
I don't like Patrice. I think she's cool, right? Like, this is like last year when Father Mateo was on. Father Mateo was on my list, kind of just because he was boring. Since then, like, he's still like pretty boring, but like he's grown a lot on me since then. Especially because he can access more blessed cards now. But Patrice is kind of like, I kind of feel like when you're playing her, you're like floating in the middle of the ocean and someone's like, you're like desperately reaching for like just something, and occasionally you grab a buoy, but then sometimes it's just a big rock and you're like, all right, I'll sink to the bottom this turn. And her stat line doesn't really benefit from those moments, right? Like, I do want to play another Patrice deck, and I want to build her differently, because like ultimately there's only 2 characters I actively dislike in the game. Spoiler alert. But like, what I'll play all of these characters again and give them another shot. And I feel like with my first time with Patrice was the first blind play when we were our first run through a campaign and we don't know the investigators, the cards, and we just put the new upgrades in because they're new and shiny. And it really left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't feel like I actually like did much with Patrice. And I wasn't like really making decisions. My hand was making my decisions for me, and maybe that is just her play style, but didn't work for me. Don't really enjoy her too much.
Yeah, you also had the issue with Rita last time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Travis, what's your number? 3? Yeah.
Yes, there's letdowns. She's a pretty good investigator, but again, I think she's like really boring. The splash you get is relics, which in a lot of cases are like, some of them are neat. Like you can play Ornate Bow, I guess, which I mean you could play with any investigator, but there's like some neat green ones like Skeleton Key that can, I mean, most of the green relics are kind of neat, but they suffer from only playing 1 copy, also being very XP heavy. XP, what's the word? Expensive. And I don't know. She's got a great stat line, but just the whole you get to move and you get to investigate once is, it just doesn't appeal to me. It's boring. For as much as I like playing off yellow characters, I think I don't really enjoy playing exclusively yellow characters. And
you get to play Jake Williams.
Yeah, she also has like a super boring, unique asset. That's a good point, Bryn. And like also a pretty boring and annoying weakness that just. Look, I play Rex sometimes with his weakness that never really goes away and that you have to constantly do something for, and Call of the Unknown is also like that, except it has like a real cost to it.
Yeah. Because like with Rexes, you're kind of just making tests where you're already up 4, so like it's hard to fail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one, you're like actively being like, I need, it's always there and like demanding something from you each turn.
Yeah, I don't really get why I dislike Ursula so much. Like, again, she's got a really nice stat line, and her card pool is like a little bit boring, but it's not abysmal.
Yeah.
But every time I'm like looking at a new investigator play, I'm like, nah.
I mean, like that's kind of like all this list. Like, I mean, maybe Bryn has some sort of hate in him that I can't comprehend, but like, I think all of us were like, yeah, we don't actually like hate these investigators. We just look at them and we're like, I don't want to play you because I don't find you interesting or fun, or you're not my style. Maybe. Let's go to number 2s. Bryn, what's yours?
I've got Norman Withers. Don't get me wrong, I think this guy's deck building is like actually kind of cool, and I would like to see more of that in the game. But my only experience with this card is being handed a pile of cards that I had no idea what the fuck anything was for. Sitting there just like, oh my god. You know, we fear and hate what we don't understand, and I sure didn't understand what the hell I was doing there. Was it good? Probably, yeah.
No, it definitely wasn't.
But yeah, no, he just he confuses me. And like that's probably a good thing in the long run. But right now, he gets to be on the list.
My number 2 is same as my number 2 from last year, I believe, Rita Young. I had a bad time with her, and honestly, she just doesn't have... She's weak. Her power level, she was one of our lowest ranks when we ranked all the investigators, and I still think she is just that bad. The thing is, like, Foot doesn't do anything, right? Like, yeah, she can evade and ping someone for 1. Congratulations, you've done what a fighter did. You kill the cultist by, like, dealing 1 damage to it, right? But beyond that, it's kind of just, like, boring. And then when a big thing shows up, she says, "Worry not, mortals. I will evade it and deal it 1 damage, and then next turn I'll do it again." And then, like, yeah, you can shoot her. You can use the bow, right? But, like, wow, right? Like, that's it. And she's just kind of very boring and plain, and her... I like the investigator cards who have an ability that's like relevant and fun and does something that's not just like, I poked you with my 5 foot. Yay. People have said that she gets better when there's more tricks from the Winifred deck, and I will build and play her again, but right now she has the same spot she has last year for me.
That was exactly what I was going to say, Justin, is that there's a whole lot more tricks in the game now.
Yeah.
And it's like Mark Harrigan when he came out. He was like, I can play tactics, and all the tactics were blue.
Yeah, but the thing is with Mark Harrigan, he also has a really good ability.
Oh, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. He's also just really strong all the time.
Yeah, apples. Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
It's not entirely the same. It's like, yeah, okay, I guess they're both fruit. But
and who knows, maybe I'll like her and she won't be here in 2022, right? If that would be nice. I hope for her, right? Travis, who's your number 2?
It's Tony Morgan. Look, so I've played him and I found him really boring. And he's a green character, so those are already like 2 strikes against him. But my biggest issue with him is I feel like he kind of breaks a lot of the green card pool, because I've talked about this in other videos, but a lot of green cards, especially combat oriented ones, were designed with the idea that green characters have kind of bad stats, and then he just doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, like, the downside for playing, like, the downside those cards are supposed to have just doesn't exist. And I feel like that was a bit of a design mistake, especially with the action efficiency they gave him.
I think he's the best fighter in the game, and that's kind of a rough thing, right? Like, I agree. It's just kind of like he seems much stronger than he should because he's taking advantage of his card pool in a way that he really shouldn't.
Yeah. Like, it's really tough for Guardian investigators, too, that, like, Guardian already suffers from the amount of things it can do, and to not be the best at, like, their thing. Like, imagine if there was an investigator who's better at getting clues than, like, Printed Rex was or something like that. Or Printed Mandy. Like, that would be really weird.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our number 1s, starting with you, Bryn.
All right, this one's here because I hate children.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding. Kids are pretty okay as long as I'm not responsible for them. But if I'm playing Wendy Adams, I am responsible for this one. And honestly, like, I know you're probably again like, but Bryn, she gets to play green cards, and you know, that's factually correct.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I just have never considered her as an option when sitting down to decide what investigator I'm playing. It's just never been a thing that's come up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, she's one of maybe 4 investigators I've never tried to play.
Whoa.
And I just kind of don't see that changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is she good? Yeah, she's good. I don't need you to tell me that all my cards being live and learn, or no matter what they say on them, is pretty okay. But I just, like, maybe one day. Probably not.
Well, no. I mean, as you said, you ultimately hate children, so that's a strike she'll never beat. Because Wendy Adams ain't growing up. Not that she's dead, but she's fictional.
No.
So
yeah, she's been like 11 years old for the past like 60 years.
Yeah, since we first played with her, like she's not changing.
Yep.
No.
Well, parallel Wendy Adams, she's an adult. Bryn's like new name. They fixed her. All right, my number 1, same as last year, same as it probably will always be, is this Mr. Skids O'Toole. I think like his stat line's so awkward for what he wants to do. And like this is kind of like what Travis was saying, how like rogues should have a stat line that kind of looks like like this, right? But it's just, as I said, I believe last year, there was a playthrough I did when I only had 1 copy of the core set, and I played Skids, and it was the worst experience I've had in this game. Because I just did nothing, and then an enemy showed up, and I said, all right, I'll fight this guy. Wait, he has 4, and I have 3, and I have to spend this? And then I was like, wait a minute, I only have 1. It was just... And I think even if my deck with my card pool at that time, even if it was more consistent, it still would have been a bad time just because of his awkward stat line. Now, I know you might be saying, hey, Justin, you should play Parallel Skids. I will eventually play Parallel Skids. But right now, basic, normal, like, vanilla Skids O'Toole is just still my bottom investigator. Travis, who is Winnistella C. Finns?
I did. Actually, this is like a little bit of a cheat, but I quite dislike all of the investigator deck characters for slightly different reasons. But the common thread, again, is that they're boring. They can only play 0 to 5 cards from their color, and that's really uninteresting to me. The decks came with a lot of really neat cards that improved a lot of other investigators, and just made them more interesting to build. But Nathaniel Cho has exactly 1 deck you can build with him, and that's it. You know, Harvey Walters, you just play yellow cards, and like there's some neat things you can do with draw. Like I like drawing cards. Like I'm a little bit biased towards Harvey, but I recognize from an objective point of view that he's super boring. You just get an extra card every time, and then all sorts of weakness punishes you for that. So, Winifred, I actually think that her ability is kind of neat, and that she might be fun to play, but she's a green character, so she automatically gets to be on the list. And then Stella and Jacqueline, for similar reasons to why Bryn doesn't like Mandy, I think these characters are just not too strong, but too strong at mitigating the wrong parts of the game, where they take away a lot of the tension from the game. Jacqueline, with her ability to you just pass whatever test you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably 95% of the time, there's no fear. And for Stella, between her, again, I've talked about this in a previous video, I don't understand why she has 3 copies of her unique skill, and why it's red so you can get back with Resourceful. But also her ability to like get an extra action when you fail is just kind of... I think that both those ability, like, it just takes away from the tension of the game. It remove. It doesn't make you better at playing the game. It just makes the game not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like Bryn mentioned, if the game's not difficult, like, why are you playing? You know, like, what's the point of playing a game where you can just pass all the tests that might be catastrophic to fail, or to, like, ignore the consequences of, you know, a potentially crippling rotting remains or something like that? That's not fun or interesting to me in any capacity.
Well, joke's on you, viewers. For everyone who's saying you guys should play your bottom investigators, Travis can't play 5 people at once, so he has...
Or can I?
Yeah,
Let's
hard
go.
disagree. I say that the next time that we make Travis play an investigator, the next gift exchange, we make him play Winnie Stella Safins.
Yeah. The strongest investigator in the game.
I get to play level 0 to 1 cards from any color, but I get all of their abilities and then the average stat for each of them.
Oh, that's it. We're building a custom character.
Yeah, I will say I was going to put Stella on my list under the hashtag Justice for Winnie, because like either 3 copies of anything you can do or 1 copy of Rain nor Snow.
Copy of Rain or Snow, please.
I mean, like, I get it as well, like, because, like, in the video we just recorded today that came out last week, like, Jacqueline made my top 5 because, not so much, like, for myself, like, it's true, like, when you just use everything on, like, her for yourself, you just don't lose. The multiplayer aspect makes Jacqueline a bit more fun, like, being able to help your friends out, but I totally get what you're saying, too, how just, like, Stella was the least scared I've ever been of this game, and that shouldn't happen, right? And that's like where like Stella and Mandy to me are a problem because they're so like consistent and good, right?
Yeah. Part of Stella's issue is that with 3 copies of Rain nor Snow, like, not only are you
I
not
don't understand why they
can
gave
do to you,
3.
nobody around you is either.
Yeah. Yeah. Spicy. All right. Well, that was a good video. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see who makes it in 2022 if anything changes. I do want them, like, I do hope they release another starter deck investigators, because I think it's great for new players. I just think, like, they should be a bit more interesting. The next one should be 2 colors, right? Or like 3 colors even, like a little, like, get funky with it, right?
They're all just
I wouldn't even be mad if they
just
just released the parallel investigators as real cards through that, except maybe a different Daisy, because the one that we have is garbage.
I would enjoy a parallel thing, like, once they get, because they're probably going to make them for all of them over time, right? Like, or at least a good chunk of them, get like a parallel pack. I think that would be a very good idea for them to do as a print on demand.
Once they finish the first pack's worth, like, the first 5.
Yeah, definitely.
I would pay for it.
I would too. I would in a heartbeat.
Are you listening, Fantasy Flight?
Yeah, because if you are, just
there's
throwing
literally
money at the
tens
screen.
of dollars here.
Yeah, why isn't anything happening? Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week for another list video. Who are your least favorite investigators? And I know you love Diana Stanley, so don't yell at me too much about it, please. I have a very fragile ego and I will cry. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.